Welcome to Tech Intersect. I'm your host, Tanya Evans, and my life and work exist at the heart of law, business, and technology. Yeah, I've earned a few fancy titles and degrees over the years, but the bottom line is I'm a writer, speaker, teacher, and lifelong learner, and I'm really excited that you've joined me on this journey. So what is Tech Intersect? Well, it's authentic, empowering conversations with really interesting guests to demystify complex topics to prepare you for the future. Because your future is now. And it exists where law, business, and tech intersect. Get ready to listen, learn, and leverage. Let's get started. In this episode of Tech Intersect, I welcome Arlan Hamilton back to the podcast. Arlan is the founder and managing partner of Backstage Capital, a venture capital firm dedicated to minimizing funding disparities in tech by investing in high potential founders who are people of color, women, and or members of the LGBTQ community. Started from scratch in 2015, Backstage has now raised more than $12 million and invested in more than 150 startup companies led by underestimated founders. In 2018, Backstage launched a 4-city accelerator program in LA, Detroit, my hometown of Philly, and London. Arlan has been featured on the cover of Fast Company magazine as the first Black woman non-celebrity to do so, and is the author of It's About Damn Time and host of the weekly podcast, Your First Million. Arlan and her amazing mother, Mrs. Earline Butler-Sims, announced their scholarship program, which kicked off with scholarships for Black students at Oxford University and the HBCU, Dillard University. Now, when Arlan was last here, we were talking about the release of her first book, It's About Damn Time. Arlan is back now to talk about Arlan's Academy, and I'm thrilled to be one of the instructors in this dynamic team of subject matter experts. Now, before we jump into the ep, do me a quick favor. Like this episode, subscribe to this podcast, comment, and definitely share so that others who can benefit from the content can find and receive it. Okay, now it's time to listen, learn, and leverage. Let's get started. I am absolutely thrilled to welcome back to Tech Intersect Backstage Capital founder and managing partner Arlan Hamilton. She is the founder and managing partner of Backstage Capital, a venture capital firm dedicated to minimizing funding disparities in tech by investing in high potential founders who happen to be people of color, women, members of the LGBTQ community. She wears many hats, and most recent is the founding of Arlan's Academy. So because Arlan is back with us now, I'm going to drop a link to the previous episode in the show notes. You can hear more about her background, impact on the VC world, and underestimated founders, and her book, It's About Damn Time. But I invited her back to talk about the Academy in particular. I am also, I don't know if I can call it biased, but I'm in decidedly the camp of Arlan's Academy because I'm a proud instructor. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But first, Arlan, welcome back to Tech Intersect.
Well, thank you so much for having me back. I really appreciate it. And I'm a fan of the show.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it very much. Now, what I've been doing over these last few months is before even jumping in, asking people how they are. I know for sure that you are dynamic and you also seem to be an empath. There's a lot of energy flowing out of you because you give so much to the world. So I need to check in on you and see how are you doing just personally in the age of this pandemic, the racial injustice. And I know that you receive that in a unique way. So how are you doing?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm doing all right. You know, I put the energy out there and I receive it back tenfold. And so that's the way it works. I do find myself feeling pretty exhausted at the end of each day, emotionally, not so much physically. Right. And I try to keep a real close look on how I'm doing. a little bit of that is age has taught me that, just a little bit more
Yeah.
years of learning and understanding that you can't be everything to everybody. But I definitely have this a unique perspective because I do
Yes.
speak to I don't know, hundreds or thousands of people every day and things that I do and take on a lot of that. But I'm doing well and I'm feeling optimistic through it all.
I certainly do as well. And I know that there are better days ahead. And like you, trying to find, I'm really intentional at this point in time, focusing on the mundane, finding the beauty in just the ordinary experience of whatever my day is. Particularly if I'm not outside, I'm usually energized by nature, and I'm
Mhm.
not out nearly as much as I used to be. And so, finding other ways to find simple joy has been really helpful for me to really stay in the moment, because so much of what I do is figuring out what I just did and preparing for the next thing, as I know for you as well. But sometimes I just have to sit still. And my words this year have been space and grace, and also pacing myself. So I
Yes.
suspect that you're there as well. Excellent. But it's great to hear your voice and also to hear that you and yours are well. So let's talk about this latest passion project. I can hardly believe I'm going to use the word just, but it's anything but just. But I know recently I've heard you describe Arlan's Academy as a passion project because you actually do have a day job, a
Yeah.
couple of them.
Yeah. A
So
couple of them.
talk to me about that. Talk to me
I
about this
mean,
latest.
yeah, it's a passion project. I have so much fun with it. Arlen's
Mm,
Academy. The way it started is back in April of 2020, just a little while after we all started quarantining and staying off of these trips, these business trips.
mm,
I also lost a lot of money in March.
mm,
So I lost 2020 was going to be a big financial year for me. And coming from a place, just 6 years ago where I was completely broke,
right.
that was a big milestone. It would have been for anybody. And so I lost a lot of money and I thought, that's okay. We have more years. We're going to just keep going. I was just releasing my new book. It's about damn time at the
Mhm.
same time. And I said, what can I do that generates revenue, personal revenue for myself so I can, maintain a lot of the things, the caregiving and all the things that I do, but also is just actually really fun.
Mm,
And I just decided that, I've done a few really interesting things in the past few years, and I'm sure some people can gain some knowledge from that. So I just decided
mm,
to start an online course. And I did a lot of research about it for a few weeks and just really fell in love with the idea. I started recording the course. It got almost immediate great traction and great reaction to it. And I
right.
love the medium. I love being able to build out the coursework and the blueprint and then go off of the dome and record it and on video and on audio and all those things that I had to teach myself to do.
Right.
And in those first 6 months, I earned about $100,000 total, and with a pretty high profit margin,
Amazing.
like almost all profit. And I thought, well, I want to do more of this, but I don't want it to be just me talking. I don't want it to just be from my point of view.
Right.
I want it to be from a lot of people's point of view. And I also, at the same time, I noticed by doing all this research, you could see there are a lot of these online courses that have a lot of teachers, instructors, and
Right.
it's very homogenous.
Right.
And you may, if you get into where there's thousands of courses, you may get, more diversity. But when it's curated, like Arlen's Academy is, it's very homogenous and it's usually men or it's
Right.
white or it's this or it's that. And I said, well, how cool would it be to have this, all of this information that I know entrepreneurs, creatives, aspiring entrepreneurs would appreciate. And it's simply taught by a diverse group of experts.
Right.
And so that's it. That's where it's like, let's go with this. Let's go with this.
That's powerful because it takes the best of the intention for Backstage
Mhm.
Capital and then recasts that approach in what I describe as the future of education. It's always shocking for me, as I'm a professor who earned tenure some years ago. I'm in my 14th year of teaching in the legal academy,
Nice.
but I also know that the future of education is not this formalized, pay $1 million, go through all of these years of training in one place. right? It's
Yeah.
about skills and
Yes.
credentials and, the buzzwords of upskilling and reskilling, but those points are well made. And so to have an online experience in this way, and I'm looking at the page right now, and it's some kind of wonderful, Arlen, because to see.
And we're just getting started. Isn't that the cool thing? We're just getting started. So you were actually part of the very first
I
wave
love it.
of it, the ground floor founding of this, And I didn't go, I went to high school, I graduated high school, I was an honor student and
Good.
all those types of gifted and all of that, but I didn't go to college. It wasn't for me. And so kind of rediscovering this ability to learn, because I've always wanted to learn so much all the time, always curious. And it's like, you're right. This is the future of learning and of education. And people have been saying it for a while, but
Right.
I'm definitely jumping on that bandwagon and understanding it now.
Yeah, I am one of those lifelong learners who signs up for many, many courses. I dip in, I dip out, I get what I need
Yep.
in the moment. But I love being able to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, go and learn something that for any reason or no reason at all, getting back to kind of the origin of what people would consider to be the liberal arts education, but having that be meaningful for me in Web 3.0, how it's data driven and tech driven. And so I see a lot of that with some of the titles here. I'm going to mention a couple of them and you give me your feedback about why you chose these particular topics at this particular time. So I'm looking at, of course, how to give your company evaluation with Julia Quintner. Is that how you pronounce her name?
Yes.
And I see podcasts like the pros. I'm going to have to jump in there as well. Strategic PR for independent companies. Obviously, my course From Cash to Crypto. When I remember those being kind of some of the first ones to hit the scene.
Yes.
And also Camille's course, Why Cash Flow is Queen. Love. So talk to us about those courses and why you selected them.
Yeah, and I think it's important to mention here too, don't want to jump the gun or anything, but it is important to mention that you can take these courses individually, buy them individually.
Yes.
But my favorite part of this is that you can buy a tuition and have access to all of these courses for one price, either all up front. It's $360. And I mean, that obviously that's a discount.
Surely.
I mean, we're talking about at least $2,000 worth of courses, and we add new things every week. And then, so by the end of 2021, it'll be a 10,000 plus value at $360. Or you can even do monthly, because I wanted to make it accessible for the students or for people like myself a few years ago who I wouldn't have been able to do it unless it was monthly.
Right.
So that's what makes it so exciting to me, is that when we add things to the site, you can jump over here, like you said, dip in and dip out of different courses, whatever is right for you at the time. So you don't have to only, depend on one of the courses working for you. Those particular ones that we started with put out a call. Actually, Camille was the very first person I asked to be on the course because I had spoken to her a few times and I knew how much she had to offer. Her Cash Flow is Queen course. So Cash Flow is Queen. I mean, she breaks it down. Everybody, actually, every single one that you mentioned, including yourself, break things down in a way where I can understand it, where I don't have to have gone through 4 years or 8 years of schooling like most of the people talking did to understand. You really have a great way of reaching people. And that's something that I try to do too, is like talk to people where they are. And I chose these because I thought, what would I want in my toolkit if I were starting a company, or if I had already started a company, but I felt stuck.
Right.
Like my flagship course is how to raise capital for your company from scratch. And we also talk a lot about bootstrapping, and it's a much longer course and it's, really in depth, but it really is sort of these complements to that course of what would I want to know. And then you think about, I had someone just mention recently that he raised $100,000 after taking my course. And when you think about people who are then going on to raise, when you talk about, well, what's next? What is the future of cash? What is the future? So it's a lot of foundational things, and then a lot of things that people can refer back to at different parts of their journey. And I watch every single video. I listen to every beat before I put it online, because I want to make sure that it's high quality before I put it out there.
You love listening to podcasts, but have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Maybe you want to build a brand, grow your business, or are looking for an excuse to talk about your favorite hobby. Whatever your reason for making a podcast, Buzzsprout is the place to start. Since 2009, Buzzsprout has helped over 300,000 people launch their own podcasts. Buzzsprout walks you step by step through the whole process and will give you powerful tools to start, grow, and monetize your podcast. Ready to get started? Click the link in the show notes to get our free step-by-step guide to starting your podcast today.
We hope you're enjoying this edition of Tech Intersect. Our conversation will continue in a moment, but first, a word on an exciting opportunity.
There's a more cost-effective and time-efficient way to reach your leading-edge learning and earning goals, to put you ahead of the stiff competition in this fast-paced, tech-driven economy. You need skills, credentials, and a fast track to a competitive advantage. You need it now more than ever, and I can help. The Advantage Evans method puts you ahead of the curve with condensed, comprehensive online courses, curated content to leverage your current skills and expertise, live coaching, networking opportunities, and more. Upcoming courses include From Cash to Crypto to help you buy your first Bitcoin, and there are 2 ways to get your advantage. Advantage Evans Encore gives you maximum experience for your total competitive advantage and access for 1 year. It includes a live welcome and modules on terminology, buying and selling, exchanges, mining, earning crypto, trading and investing, and also several of the legal issues you need to know in order to be safe and secure as you enter this space. That includes tax compliance, how to plan for a Bitcoin estate, and securities laws to make sure you avoid any legal unforced errors. Now, Advantage Core gives you the essentials. It's a short course to give you what you want and the support you need to buy your first crypto in as little as 3 weeks, with access to the information and replays for 3 months. And if you're not quite ready for your Advantage and want a sneak peek to try before you buy, then register for a free masterclass where I share my Crypto 101 success checklist and cover current hot topics in crypto. So there truly is something for everyone, including you, to get in on the fast track and learn and earn in the digital economy. Visit AdvantageEvans.com to get started. That's AdvantageEvans.com.
And now, back to the conversation.
That was one of the most impressive parts about it. There are many things. I love as much as you are giving to people in order to make it accessible with the various models and the lower price point, probably lower than any of these courses if they were individual and outside of this particular context. So I love that. But you're also supporting us, we who are subject matter experts, to reach a different audience.
Yes.
One, we have concentric circles to be sure, but you're really empowering us as well. And I want to make that point that I was really excited when I remember seeing a tweet, because I live in Twitter. I suspect you do some days too. And when I saw it, it was a complete no-brainer. I had no time to really do it, but I had every reason to do it and to make the time, because this was going to be really important and impactful. And it was a way, because my larger From Cash to Crypto course is, that longer experience that you have in how to raise startup capital. Right. So it's lessons, and it's very labor intensive really to show up for live Q&As and all those things. So you gave me the opportunity to create a smaller version where I could still make an impact.
Yeah.
And if somebody wants to, get into the full experience, that's great. But I wanted them to have everything in one place. If they never took another course from me, I wanted to make sure that I added value in 90 minutes or less. You were very clear about that part too. I
Yeah,
was
for
like,
the
oh
most
Lord, how am I going
part,
to do this?
that is what people have time to do on a weekend or check out in one
Yeah.
sitting. And I look at it as, you taking all these, imagine you are this lifelong learner, and that doesn't mean that you had to go to college or that you had to be particularly good in school.
Right.
It varied depending on what the subject was. But imagine you open up this menu and you can take some fundamental 101 or 102 classes to learn certain topics and see, do I like that topic? And then, as you say,
Right.
you give people the ability to go all in once they decide, yes, I do. And I did. I mean, with every topic, I said, okay, I want more. I want to learn more. But of
Mm,
course, we all have our schedules. We all have life. People have kids, people have jobs. And so the
right.
idea that this is a year-round school that is open wherever you are, as long as you have access to the internet, you have access to this curriculum,
Right.
and then you can go back and research, what was that thing I wanted to check on? Okay, that's right. I want to go to and check out Tanya's full course.
That's fantastic. And one of the greatest compliments that I received about the content has come from you. And you have seen it all. You've seen you've seen it all
Mhm.
in the space. Obviously, you know about cryptocurrency and blockchain and all of these things. So it was very heartening to hear that you felt like you were better off after seeing the information that before you went in. Can you talk about that experience?
100%. I mean, I have, for the people who didn't see the first or hear the first episode, I'm a venture capitalist. I am an angel investor and an LP in funds. So I've invested in more than 160 companies through my fund, and then invested in other people's funds and other projects. And of course, I'm surrounded by capital. I had to do this, the past decade has been just learning everything I could about this world, but I didn't know anything about Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. I mean, I knew the terms.
Right.
I knew that. I made sure that a few years ago, my mom got a little bit of Bitcoin and a little bit of
Yes.
Ethereum, because I knew that something was bubbling, because I tend to have that radar. But
Right.
I hadn't really, it had felt very overwhelming to me in a way that venture capital used to feel. It
Right.
felt very foreign and very much so built for somebody else to understand. And so, of course, in the idea of putting you on the site, I like I said, I watch every single video, every minute of every single video. So I watched it, and I came out of it and I was like, oh, I can understand that.
Mm,
That's foundation. I can understand where it comes from. And the more that you watch something, the more that you surround yourself with something, the more you're going to absorb it and understand it. And that's
right.
just how learning works. But to be able to go from, I think it was a Saturday night, I think it was, and start at 8 p.m. And by 10 p.m., I knew what I could have learned in an entire book or an
Right.
entire course that I went and took for 6 weeks or something like that. That is powerful. And then I remember listening to it and watching it again
Mm,
a few weeks later, just a handful of weeks later, because I just personally wanted to learn more as I heard more about Bitcoin in
right.
the news. It's like, let me go back and watch it again and see what I now understand more than I did before. And I feel that way about all the courses, but of course, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, you want to feel like you are in the know and feel
Right.
like you're not being taken advantage of, because some of this can sound like it's not on the up and up. And
Absolutely.
so to have you say with every video, you know, be careful, please watch the video and understand it before you go out there and try to put some money down. There are people out there who are not on the up and up.
Right.
You do it from a professorial point
Mhm.
of view, not
Mm.
from a, hey, I want you to come over here in the corner and see what I got for you, you know?
Right, right.
And so that, to me, that part of it too is so important, because I would never expose my audience and my reputation to something that was shady,
Right,
or that I knew that was shady, right? And
right.
so to have that, I'm like, this is something I in fact did, texted my mom and I showed it to her.
Oh,
And I said,
good.
please go through this course.
That's amazing, and that is exactly the reason that I do what I do, and I focus too on traditionally or historically underestimated folks, Black and brown communities, women. I'm a member of the LGBTQ community as well, and just making sure that whatever you do, I do not have a coin to shill. I do not have a vested interest in the outcome. I come, as you said, from that education point of view, and everyone that I haven't watched everything at the academy yet. It is my intention to do so. But your point is well made. You are not going to put your reputation on something that is going to, you've taken all this time to build it up. A reputation will disappear just like that overnight. And
Yes.
so, and I approach that in the same way. I take being a lawyer very seriously. I take being an educator very seriously. I am the chair of the Maker Foundation. And so I don't even talk about that in the course other than to say it. People should know that I serve on the foundation. I'm not speaking for the foundation. I'm
Mhm.
not talking about those coins at all. I think it would be inappropriate to do so. I want people to be empowered so that they can move forward, as I say in the course, safely and confidently. because once you have information, you get to make a new decision. And that's why your platform is so powerful as well, because you get a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I love everything about it. Tell us, I'm looking at my time now. I need to get you out of here, but I want you to share the vision of where the Academy is going, because I know this is where we are now, and you intimated a bit earlier, but where do you intend to take Arlan's Academy from here?
Yeah, I want to see where it takes me.
Mhm.
What I do know is that every single week for 2021, we will add at least one new course. That will be somewhere between 45 minutes and 2 hours, so that you can take your Saturday or Sunday or some evening and take an hour and learn something new, and that people can jump in anytime and have that full access and have that full pond of information. I know that every single day there's interest in the Academy, and so I see that growing. I know that we have monthly, when you become a purchase tuition, whether it's monthly or full access, you get monthly office hours, and that I'm always attending and I always answer questions. And then we have guest appearances by experts now starting this year, because we now have the Academy. And so that in itself, a lot of these experts, including myself, it would cost hundreds of dollars to have, or even more, to have an hour with them to answer questions or to listen to them answer questions. So that is an incredible amount of value. I don't know what your speaking fee is, but I know mine domestic is $50,000. Right. So to have me and bring on my friends who are experts, I mean, that's worth it. In my opinion, that's worth figuring out the $60 a month. I don't even know if you know this or not, but for the past 2 weeks, your course has been the most popular course on the Academy as an individual course.
What?
Yes. So, I can see those numbers behind the scenes, the dashboard. And so your course, it's because of the interest in Bitcoin, but it's also because people, when they hit that first video, they could go away, but they stay because of the information they're getting. So it's just really cool to see that data as well. And I just welcome everybody to join, come check it out. And I will see you at the office hours. I'll see everybody online, and leave comments and feel at home. This is our Academy together, and anybody is welcome, and anybody can start at any time.
I love it. I appreciate how you move in the world. I thank you for your support and all that you're doing for folks. So let's continue to nation build. I will see you in those Twitter streets. And thank you as always.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Arlan, for stopping through Tech Intersect. Fantastic episode and information and opportunity. All right, y'all. Arlan has done it again. Combined her trailblazing entrepreneurial spirit with her unwavering desire to add value and to empower and lift as she climbs, while leveraging and maximizing online education tools and assembling a dynamic and diverse cadre of the best and the brightest in their respective fields. I'm honored to be one of the first out of the gate, and also to deliver clear, concise content about cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and the future of money, and certainly to do so in a way that is accessible for all. So please use the link in the show notes to get started. I highly recommend the All Access Pass, either in one lump sum of just $360 for lifetime access or a monthly plan. Okay, that's all for now. Until next time, continue to shine.
Stay in touch with host Tanya Evans via your favorite social media. On Twitter at Tech Intersect, and on Instagram via the handle Tech Intersect. This podcast has been produced by Stephanie Renee for Soul Sanctuary Incorporated.